Elden Ring has one of the most interesting, immersive and beautiful open worlds I've ever seen in a video game, but it also has some of the absolute worst boss design of any FromSoft game. Honestly, it's really frustrating, because boss fights are the best part of FromSoft games, but I did not find a single boss encounter in this game enjoyable. I didn't really hate any of the encounters, but I did not have fun fighting a single boss during my first playthrough. And on subsequent playthroughs, my attitude towards boss encounters was something along the lines of, let's get this done quickly, so that I can go back to exploring the world. This is not a rant about difficulty, because this is not my first time playing a FromSoftware game. I know how to completely break encounters and make them trivial. The bosses in this game are simply not as satisfying to fight as those in, well, literally any other FromSoft game. Well, every FromSoft game except for Ninja Blade. We just pretend that one doesn't exist. Now I will get to the point and talk about why Elden Ring's bosses are, in my opinion, worse than the bosses in every other FromSoft game, except for Ninja's Blade. Let's first look at how bosses are balanced. The bosses in this game seem to be tankier than those in the Souls games, and they are definitely more aggressive. They have Aoe attacks and long combos they can chain together an indefinite number of times. To top this all off, pretty much every single boss in this game delays their attacks to punish panic rolling. You usually need to parry multiple times to get a riposte. And let's not forget the very obvious input reading. Let's first address the thing I believe FromSoftware did right. That is the delay between attacks. In Dark Souls 3, delayed attacks weren't common, so if you knew a combo is coming, you just had to do some consecutive rolls and you would avoid damage. Same holds for BloodBorne. Roll spamming was a thing people did in those games, and it saved them very often. But that is no more. Panic roll spamming in Elden Ring is not much better than just staying in one place and just taking all the hits, because bosses can and will roll catch you if you don't put effort into timing your rolls correctly. I have nothing to complain about here. It's a way to raise the skill floor, and it doesn't feel bullshit at all. Okay, that was the positive part. Let's get to the annoying aspects of Elden Ring's boss design. Oh boy, where do I start? Well, probably with the fact that bosses jump around the arena like spider monkeys on crack. Look at this. This is infuriating. He chains combos, so you have to be passive and dodge while waiting for the appropriate moment to strike. But just as you're about to strike, you get maybe 1 or 2 hits in before he just jumps away. I have no control over my spacing in this fight. He is close to me if he wants to be close to me, and he's far away if he wants to be far away. I have no say in the matter. In the other Souls games, if I wanted to be close to an enemy all the time, I could do that. This is not the only fight where spacing and waiting is an issue. The majority of fights are like that. This combined with the massive health pool of these bosses leads to fights that drag on for far too long. No, chasing after the Elden Beast is not fun. No, chasing after the Fire Giant and dealing with his massive health bar is not fun. Okay, the boss fights are too long. What to do? Well, we can always try to parry and riposte. Ripostes do a lot of damage, right? Well, no. Ripostes actually suck in this game. You have to parry bosses with tricky parry windows 2 or 3 times in a row to be able to riposte them. But when you riposte, you realize you do less damage than if you do a couple of jumping attacks. Congratulations, you just wasted your time and effort. Parrying is as difficult as ever, but it is not rewarded in the slightest. There is also the posture break mechanic, but it also kinda sucks. We already know ripostes suck, so what reason is there for you to aim for a guard break? There is no reason. You're pretty much better off spamming bleed than aiming for a posture break, followed by a critical. To make all of the above worse, Elden Ring's bosses have dumb Aoe attacks you can't really react to. A good example is Godric's wind attack. So, Godric does this little breakdance combo, right? And you see an opportunity to attack, and go for it. But then he does this stupid move. There's no way you can react to this as a melee build. The only way is to just expect it and roll away the moment you see him move even a little. The Godskin Noble also has his expansion attack, which, well, there is no way you can react to this, okay? There is none. I call this what it is. bullshit. The blatant input reading these bosses do is also extremely annoying. Bosses would just sit there, waiting for you to heal or attack, and they will hit you with something that's just impossible to dodge, because their attack started as you pressed the button to perform an action and before your animation started. By the time you initiate your animation, you're stuck in it and get hit. Very fair. Thanks, Miyazaki. Now let's talk about how, despite all of the bullshit listed above, this game somehow manages to be the easiest FromSoftware game by far. If you pay attention to the game's mechanics and have experience with other FromSoftware games, then you can quickly realize that a tanky summon to pick up all the aggro for you while you hit enemies in the back makes learning attack patterns completely unnecessary. Status effects like hemorrhage, aka bleed, are also extremely powerful, so make a build so that every jumping attack is guaranteed to make a boss bleed. But wait, there is more. Pick up a talisman and a hat that increase your damage when you make enemies bleed, and get a talisman that increases the damage of successive attacks, and boom, you can now summon your spirit ashes and L1 spam bosses to death before they get the chance to jump around and do the annoying stuff they would usually do. No skill required, just spam. So this is pretty much how the bosses in Elden Ring are. You have the option to use all the useful game mechanics and annihilate them before they get the chance to do anything, or fight annoyingly long battles of attrition with a bunch of RNG when it comes to which and how many combos bosses can string together, and deal with bullshit unavoidable Aoe attacks. I don't find either of these ways to fight bosses fun. I just can't get the same rush I get when fighting Dark Souls 3 bosses or Sekiro bosses. There is no epic back and forth combat here, just a lot of waiting or a lot of cheese. I want to explore the open world and uncover its secrets, but I don't enjoy the boss combat at all. If you like this video, then be sure to subscribe, leave a like, and comment for the algorithm. See you in the next one.